Hello guys, my name is Joanna. You're watching my channel On Table Board Games, but as you can see I have 3 flowers, exactly 3 black roses. Why? Because today I will show you 3 big boxes in this series. I mean, first version of Black Rose Wars, a second version Black Rose Wars Rebirth, and the new third version, so Black Rose Wars Revised. And in this video I will compare these 3 boxes. So if you are interested, if you are curious what is inside this new box, just sit down comfortable and watch this video. And maybe you remember my video about Black Rose Wars Rebirth. I published this material about 3 years ago, something like this, and in this material, in this video, I will compare Black Rose Wars Rebirth to Black Rose Wars, the first edition. But today I will tell a little bit more about this box, about Black Rose Wars Revised, and compare to Black Rose Wars first edition and Black Rose Wars Rebirth. So enjoy watching. So let's start with the room tiles. In Black Rose Wars Revised, we have exactly the same types of rooms as in the case of Black Rose Wars, the first edition, and Black Rose Wars Rebirth. However, as you can see, there have been changes in appearance as the tiles in the revised version of this board game have gained slightly different graphics. Now you are watching a comparison of the latest version to the tiles for Rebirth, but on the rebuild side, I mean the one without the overgrowth. And it's in the case of Black Rose Wars Revised that we have a return to destroying rooms as it was in the first part of this board game, rather than rebuilding them as it was in Black Rose Wars Rebirth. So that is, after destroying a room, we turn over the room tile and it becomes inactive for the rest of the game. In Black Rose Wars Rebirth, we start the game on tiles overgrown with some ivy, symbolizing the Black Rose Wars Lodge, which has been abandoned for years, and the destroyed rooms. On this side, the room abilities are printed on the tile, as well as 3 spaces with the points players will receive for participating in the rebuilding for that room. So over the course of the game, we will rebuild individual rooms. And when this is happened, after turning the tile over, we are shown the restore room. It is only on this side we place the room activation token to use the abilities of such a room. However, in Black Rose Wars Revised, as in the first part of the game, the room tiles do not have printed abilities, so during the setup you have to lay out the tokens assigned to each room, but these tokens, as you can see, are the same as those printed in the Black Rose Wars Rebirth. I mean, there have 3 flags with places and points that players will score for destroying, in this case, a room. So the novelty from Black Rose Wars Rebirth has been applied here, so that we have during a gameplay a kind of race between mages for points. Room abilities are printed on these activation tokens and color coded so that they are easily prepared on the corresponding rooms during the setup phase. And when a mage uses the ability of such a room, he turns the token to its inactive side. And only in the cleaning phase will the token be flipped again, showing again the room ability that some other players or the same player will be able to use. So it worked the same way in the first part of this board game, Black Rose Wars, but without the space with different amounts of victory points. And in my opinion, this is a very favorable change. Speaking of abilities, these have changed slightly in individual rooms compared to Black Rose Wars Rebirth, but have remained unchanged as far as the first Black Rose Wars is concerned. You can see the difference in the appearance of the room activation tokens for yourself. In the first Black Rose Wars, the tokens had icons and symbols without text on it, and in contrast, on the help card, you can find explanation of all room effects. Now, in the new version of Black Rose Wars, the entire room effect is described on the activation token. Now take a look at the comparison of all three parts of Black Rose Wars when it comes to Mage room tiles. So as for my feelings, I don't know if you remember how I complained about those bushy tiles from Black Rose Wars Rebirth. So I'm glad that in this new edition we have a return to colorful and diverse rooms. I definitely like this new version, Black Rose Wars. So does the use of new activation tokens with scoring. It looks really magical. And since I'm talking about magic, I will show you how the different schools of magic have changed, and again take a look at the constellation penalties, such peculiar statistics from the first version Black Rose Wars board game and the revised edition of this board game. As you can see, the new edition again uses the same solutions as in the Black Rose Wars Rebirth, indicating the number of cards of a given type that are in a particular deck of a school of magic, the icons on the top of the card, and the starter sets of cards have gained icons with effects, which makes it much easier for the players to judge what to expect from that set of cards. And on the back of the cards, in a new version of the game, as in Black Rose Wars Rebirth, there are descriptions with the characteristics of a particular school of magic. A very good change that already appeared in the Black Rose Wars Rebirth, and in my opinion, it's good that it was applied here. In this video, I'm not comparing the cards from the new edition this board game with Black Rose Wars Rebirth because there are completely different new schools of magic in the second installment of this series. You can hear more about them in my comparison video. I will leave a link on this video in the description below. Now let's move on. The game board for each player, except for the new edition's distinctive white color, have no differences, as you can see from Black Rose Wars Rebirth. Both the layout of the space for spell cards and the recess for the mage card are identical for both versions of this board game. So we have another novelty take from Black Rose Wars Rebirth in the new version of this board game. Comparing the new player board from the first edition of this board game, you can see that the layout on the spell cards it's still unchanged because we play them the same, nothing changes mechanically, but in the first edition of this board game, the mages were printed on the board right away. So there were no cards of them, which we now place on the player board. Thanks to this solution, we will be free to, swap mages and, for example, play those from Black Rose Wars Rebirth in the new version of this game, if you wish, of course. So in the case of mage cards, there is no difference, but the wizard gained a new action, the ability to activate evocation, exactly as I have already discussed it for you in my comparison of the first Black Rose Wars game with Black Rose Wars Rebirth. Remember that I leave a link to this video in the description below. Alright, so I'm at the mages, is now a quickly look at their miniatures. In each of parts of this board game, so far they have been in distinctive colors from the rest of the miniatures, and truth be told, these are exactly the same mages as in the first part Black Rose Wars. As for the subsequent miniatures, Judge for yourself whether you will see any difference. In the position, it's not there, but there is a tiny change. It's difficult to notice at first glance, but it's a very big improvement. Well, the old avatar miniatures had 3 holes for mini rose markers. It was so tiny and inconvenient that it was an absolute necessity to make this change. And it is. As in Black Rose Wars Rebirth, instead of these mini markers, there are player-colored laces. They are applied conveniently, quickly and efficiently. So we can finally forget about those microscopic markers of rose. And this is another tiny but very, very important and good change. Now let's move on to the power board with the scoring track. Here you see the one from the first part of Black Rose Wars. It differs from the power board from Black Rose Wars Rebirth and the identical board from the new version, so Black Rose Wars Revised. In shortly, the latest power board has an extended scoring track to be able to influence the timing of when more cards from the Moonphase deck enter to the game, as well as spaces for new decks of cards, I mean Jinx cards and upgrade cards for Evocation. These new decks of cards have been implemented directly from Black Rose Wars Rebirth. And the changes also apply to the mission cards, but if you want to learn more about it, be sure to see my video comparison first version of Black Rose Wars with Black Rose Wars Rebirth. Here in this video, I don't want to repeat myself and make this video longer. As for event board, they are almost the same in all 3 parts of this board game. Almost. With one minor novelty: a space for quest cards discarded by players, which will count in favor of Black Rose Wars in scoring. And also more about these mechanics, how it works, you can find in my comparison video. I leave a link in the description below. Finally, guys, the avatar board. This one I won't compare with the first edition of Black Rose Wars board game, because in that first version it wasn't there, but here in new version of this board game we have something new, namely spaces for avatar activation tokens. And depending on the difficulty level of the game, a different number of them will appear. So when a particular avatar activates, the token is turned to the inactive side. Okay guys, it's all for me today, but sum up. For those of you who has first edition, first version Black Rose Wars, everything here in this new box, every new mechanics, every new components, I think will be really huge and really interesting. But for those of you who has Black Rose Wars Rebirth, everything here will be almost the same. So I think you have to decide by yourself, is this new version of this series is a board game for you? I hope that this video will be helpful. If so, it will be really great if you leave a like and maybe write some comments in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching and see you in next video. Bye!